Hello, welcome here. Take a moment with me, won't you? Do you ever find yourself caught in a relentless current of modern life, where every day feels like an uphill battle against an unseen force? Perhaps it's that gnawing anxiety about an uncontrollable future, a future that seems to stretch out like an endless, unpredictable highway, leaving you feeling like a passenger without a steering wheel. Or maybe it is the subtle but pervasive pain caused by the evaluations of others, a constant internal scorecard tallying up your worth based on external metrics you can barely influence. And then there are those moments of sudden misfortune, those unexpected storms that rage into your meticulously planned life, leaving you feeling utterly powerless, adrift in a sea of circumstances you never asked for. If any of this resonates, if you've felt that quiet hum of worry, that crushing weight of expectation, or that deep sense of helplessness, then you are not alone. Many of us navigate these very waters, believing that the path to peace and success lies in tightening our grip, in trying harder, in optimizing more. But what if I told you that the truly successful people, those who exude a calm resilience, a profound sense of purpose, and an unshakable inner peace, quit one deadly, good habit years ago, a habit that, on the surface, appears virtuous, productive, even essential, but in reality silently siphons away our energy, our joy, and our very essence. It's a habit deeply ingrained in our culture, often celebrated as diligence or ambition, yet it's a silent killer of well-being. Today we're going to uncover what this habit is, why it is so insidious, and how letting it go can fundamentally transform your life. So settle in, open your mind, and let's begin this journey of profound insight together, because the path to freedom often begins by, and what binds us more often than not, is the relentless, exhausting, and ultimately futile pursuit of absolute control, constant external validation, and endless optimization. This, my friends, is the deadly, good habit we must bravely choose to abandon, because true success isn't about controlling everything, it is about mastering yourself. And true freedom isn't found in having all the... Our journey begins with the most fundamental misconception that shackles so many of us, the illusion of absolute control. You see, from a very young age, we are subtly conditioned to believe that with enough effort, enough planning, enough foresight, we can engineer our lives to be precisely as we envision them. We're taught that success is a direct consequence of controlling every variable, predicting every outcome, and This belief, while seemingly empowering, becomes a tremendous burden, a source of ceaseless anxiety, and a precursor to profound disappointment when reality inevitably deviates from our carefully constructed blueprints. We pour our energy into influencing factors that are fundamentally beyond our reach, exhausting ourselves in a futile battle against the inherent unpredictability of existence. Think about it. How many times have you meticulously planned an event, a project, or even just your day, only for an unexpected variable, a sudden change in someone else's schedule, a technical glitch, or an unforeseen global event, to derail your perfect strategy? In those moments, what is your immediate reaction? For many, it is a surge of frustration, anger, or despair. This isn't just a minor annoyance, it is a deep-seated reaction born from the shattered illusion of control. We feel cheated, wronged, or utterly helpless because our carefully constructed world has been breached by the untamable forces of life. But what if the problem isn't the unpredictable event itself, but our expectation that we be able to predict and control it? This is where ancient wisdom, particularly Stoicism, the Stoic philosophers living in a world far more volatile than our own, understood a profound truth. There are things within our control and things outside of our control, and true wisdom, true peace, lies in understanding the distinction and focusing our energy exclusively on the former. What, then, is truly within your control? Your judgments, your opinions, your desires, your aversions, and your actions. In what is outside your control, the weather, the economy, other people's opinions of you, their actions, the past, the future, as it unfolds, your health, to a large extent natural disasters, and countless other external circumstances. The moment you internalize this dichotomy of control, a profound shift begins to occur. You start to see how much of your anxiety, your stress, and your frustration stems from trying. When you worry endlessly about a job interview, Are you focused on your preparation, controllable, or on the hiring manager's decision, uncontrollable? When you fret over a loved one's choices, are you focused on offering your support and advice, controllable, or on dictating their path, uncontrollable? The Stoics urged us not to be indifferent to the world, but to be indifferent to fate outcomes. On the contrary, it means channeling your energy with surgical precision towards what truly matters. Your effort, your virtue, your response. It's about taking radical responsibility for your inner landscape while gracefully accepting the external landscape as it is. Imagine a sailor navigating a stormy sea. They cannot control the wind or the waves, but they can control how they trim their sails, how they steer. A wise sailor focuses on what is within their power, preparing diligently, reacting skillfully, and accepting that some storms must simply be weathered. They do not rage against the wind, they adapt to it. This acceptance is not resignation, it is a profound act of liberation. It frees up an immense amount of mental and emotional energy that was previously squandered on worry, anger, and resistance. When you quit the habit of trying to control the uncontrollable, you gain the power to control your own peace. You learn to discern between what you can influence and what you must accept. And in that discernment lies a deep, unwavering calm that no external storm can truly shake. This understanding is the first crucial step towards cultivating a life of true resilience and profound success. A success measured not by how perfectly you've orchestrated your environment, but by how skillfully you've navigated your own spirit. This brings us to our next insidious good habit, that successful people ditch the trap of external validation. In an increasingly interconnected world, where every achievement is broadcast and every opinion instantly shared, it is easy to fall into the snare of measuring our self-worth by the applause, approval, or affirmation of others. We become addicted to the likes, the promotions, the compliments, the coveted status symbols, believing these external markers are the true indicators of our value and success. On the surface, seeking feedback and recognition seems perfectly normal, even healthy. After all, humans are social creatures, and a sense of belonging and appreciation is vital. But the good habit turns deadly when external validation becomes the primary or source of our self-esteem, when our internal thermostat for happiness and worth is constantly adjusted by the fluctuating temperatures of public opinion. This isn't just about social media. It permeates every aspect of our lives. From childhood, we're praised for good grades, admired for athletic prowess, or encouraged to follow certain career paths because they confer prestige. We learn to associate our inherent value with external achievements. As adults, this manifests as a constant need to prove ourselves in our careers, relationships. We chase promotions not just for financial stability, but for the status and approval they bring. We curate our online personas not just to connect, but to garner admiration. We seek validation from our partners, our friends, our families, often at the expense of our own authentic desires and needs. The problem with building your foundation on external validation is that it is inherently unstable. Other people's opinions are fickle, societal trends shift, even your greatest achievements can be quickly forgotten or overshadowed. When your sense of worth is tethered to something outside yourself, you become a ship tossed about by external winds, constantly buffeted by praise and criticism, never truly anchored. You live in a perpetual state of performance, always trying to meet an ever-shifting bar, always fearing. This leads to an exhausting cycle of people, pleasing, self, doubt, and a profound disconnect from your true self. You might find yourself saying yes when you mean no, pursuing goals that don't genuinely align with your values, or suppressing your true voice for fear of disapproval. This isn't success, it is a gilded cage. Truly successful individuals understand that genuine self-worth. This means they define their own success based on their values, their character, their effort, and their integrity, rather than relying on external applause. They recognize that while external recognition can be a pleasant bonus, it is never a prerequisite for their fundamental value as a human being. How do you start to build this intrinsic self-worth? It begins with deep self-reflection. What are your core values? What principles? What does success feel like to you internally, rather than what it looks like externally? Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Recognize that your inherent worth is not contingent on your performance or others' opinions. Focus on mastery and growth for their own sake. Engage in activities because they bring you joy, challenge you, or align with your. Deliberately choose to spend time on things that cultivate your inner life. Things that no one else needs to see or validate. Slowly, steadily, you begin to detach your worth from the whims of the external world. You develop a robust inner core that is resilient to both praise and criticism. When someone compliments you, you can genuinely appreciate it without needing it. When someone criticizes you, you can consider it. Allows you to pursue your own path with courage and authenticity, to speak your truth, and to build relationships based on genuine connection rather than a desperate need for acceptance. Quitting the deadly, good habit of external validation means reclaiming your sovereignty, defining your own metrics of success, and ultimately finding a profound and unshakable inner peace that no amount of likes or accolades could ever truly provide. It's about becoming truly successful, not just in the eyes of the world, but in the quiet, undeniable knowing of your own heart. Now let's confront another pervasive and equally insidious good habit that many of us, particularly in the modern era, have mistakenly embraced as a virtue: the tyranny of always optimizing. We live in a world that constantly glorifies productivity, efficiency, and from biohacking our sleep to optimizing our workflows, from meal prepping to maximize nutrient intake to meticulously tracking every minute of our day. The message is clear: there is always a way to do it better, faster, more efficiently. And if you are not constantly striving to optimize every facet of your life, you are falling behind. On the surface, this drive for improvement seems admirable. The good habit becomes deadly, however, when this pursuit transforms from a tool for occasional enhancement into an obsessive, all-consuming philosophy of life. When optimization becomes an end in itself, rather than a means to a more fulfilling life, it quickly devolves into a relentless, joyless treadmill. You find yourself constantly evaluating, critiquing, and trying to fix aspects of your existence that every moment is viewed through the lens of potential improvement. Downtime isn't rest, it is an opportunity to optimize recovery. Hobbies aren't for enjoyment, they're for skill acquisition or networking. Relationships aren't for connection, they're for strategic alliance or emotional support extraction. This mindset fosters a pervasive sense of inadequacy, as there is always, by definition, something that could be. You never feel good enough because the goalpost of perfection is constantly being moved. This leads to chronic stress, burnout, and a profound loss of presence. You are so busy planning the perfect future that you completely miss the richness and beauty of the present moment. The irony is that in our desperate attempt to optimize our lives for maximum output, we often optimize away the very things that make life worth living: spontaneity, joy. We become human doings, not human beings. We exhaust ourselves chasing an elusive ideal, only to find that the optimized life is often a sterile, lonely, and ultimately unfulfilling one. Truly successful people, the ones who genuinely thrive and find deep satisfaction, learn to quit this relentless optimization habit. They understand the concept of good enough. They recognize the law of diminishing returns, knowing that beyond a certain point, the marginal gains of further optimization are not worth the immense cost in energy, mental peace, and quality of life. They embrace planned inefficiency, recognizing that some of life's greatest joys come from moments that cannot be optimized, quantified, or even fully explained. Consider the simple act of a leisure. An optimizer might track their steps, monitor their heart rate, or plan the most efficient route. A person who has quit this deadly habit might simply walk, observing the trees, feeling the breeze, allowing their mind to wander, with no agenda other than to experience the present moment. Which person is truly living? Which person is cultivating a deeper sense of well-being? To quit the tyranny of optimization means to reclaim your time. It means learning to say no to opportunities that, while seemingly beneficial, add more to your plate than they do to your soul. It means consciously creating space for rest, play, and unstructured time, not as a reward for productivity, but as an essential component of a balanced, humane life. It means embracing imperfection, understanding that true beauty and genuine connection often flourish in the cracks and quirks of it is about recognizing that some things like love, creativity, or spiritual growth cannot be reduced to an algorithm or maximized through a spreadsheet. They require presence, patience, and a willingness to surrender to their own organic unfolding. When you liberate yourself from the incessant pressure to optimize everything, you open yourself up to a life of greater joy, authenticity, and sustainable well-being. You stop chasing a manufactured ideal and start embracing the messy, beautiful reality of your own unique journey. You realize that true success isn't about perfectly streamlined efficiency. It is about a rich, textured, and deeply human experience. This freedom allows you to truly flourish, to live a life that is not just productive, but profoundly meaningful. Our next deadly good habit that truly successful people have learned to abandon. Have you ever found yourself caught in an endless loop of analysis paralysis? A decision needs to be made, a problem needs to be solved, or a challenging situation arises, and instead of moving forward, your mind becomes a buzzing hive of incessant rumination. You dissect every angle, anticipate every possible outcome, replay past conversations, and conjure up future catastrophe. This isn't productive planning. It is a cognitive trap, a mental treadmill that expends enormous energy without ever moving you closer to a solution or peace. Overthinking feels like being productive because your brain is incredibly busy. You are working on the problem, right? But the reality is that rumination often serves as a proxy for actual action or genuine acceptance. It is a way for our minds to feel a false sense of control in situations where we either need to make a move or, conversely, surrender to what is psychologically. Overthinking is often fueled by a cocktail of factors: a fear of making the wrong decision, perfectionism, anxiety about future outcomes, or an underlying belief that if you just think fate hard enough, you can somehow prevent negative events from happening. It creates an illusion of safety, a mental fortress where you endlessly strategize, convincing yourself that if you just consider one more scenario, one more variable, you'll find the perfect, risk-free path. But this fortress often becomes a prison. The mental toll of constant overthinking is immense. It drains your energy, saps your creativity, disrupts your sleep, and can even manifest. More importantly, it robs you of your present moment, trapping you in a never-ending cycle of what-ifs and if-onlys. You miss opportunities, delay progress, and allow problems to fester because you are too busy analyzing the map to actually start the journey. Truly successful people recognize this trap and actively cultivate strategies to break free from it. They understand that there is a critical distinction between thoughtful consideration involves gathering necessary information, evaluating options, making a decision, and then acting. Ruminating, on the other hand, is revisiting the same information repeatedly, without new insights, agonizing over choices already made, or worrying about things entirely outside your influence. One of the most powerful ways to quit this habit is to develop a bias towards action. This doesn't mean acting. The very act of doing often provides clarity that endless thinking never could. As the saying goes, done is better than perfect. Another crucial strategy is mindfulness. Instead of getting swept away by the torrent of your thoughts, practice observing them without judgment. Notice the pattern of overthinking, acknowledge it, but don't engage with it. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing in the sky. You can see them. This detachment allows you to create a mental distance, giving you the space to choose your response rather than being automatically hijacked by rumination. For issues that are genuinely beyond your control, the antidote to overthinking is radical acceptance. This ties back to the Stoic dichotomy: if you have done everything you can, if the situation is now in the hands of fate or others, continuing to worry changes nothing except your own peace of mind. It's a profound act of self-care. Moreover, successful individuals learn to set decision deadlines. For any non-critical decision, they give themselves a specific time frame to gather information and make a choice. Once that time is up, they decide and move on, understanding that the cost of endless deliberation often outweighs the benefit of finding the absolute perfect choice. By quitting the deadly habit of overthinking, you transform from a prisoner of your own mind into a master of your attention, capable of making thoughtful decisions and embracing the flow of life with greater ease and resilience. This liberates you to truly engage with the world, rather than perpetually analyzing it from the sidelines. If these insights resonate with you and you are ready to cultivate a life of deeper wisdom and freedom, consider subscribing. Your support helps us share these crucial conversations with more people who are seeking profound change. Finally, let's talk about another deadly good habit that successful people have learned to release: the fear of missing out, or FOMO, and the often accompanying burden of infinite choices. In our hyper-connected, information-saturated world, we are constantly bombarded with curated highlight reels of other people's lives. Simultaneously, we are presented with an overwhelming array of choices for everything from what to watch, where to eat, what career path to take, to how to spend our precious free time. While the freedom to choose and the ability to connect with others are, in theory, wonderful advancements, they have inadvertently birthed a new kind of anxiety, the pervasive fear that no matter what we choose, we might be missing out on something better. This fear can manifest as chronic indecision, leading us to postpone important life choices or to constantly second-guess the decisions we have made. It leads to a restless dissatisfaction where even a perfectly good experience is tainted by the nagging thought that there might have been a better option available. We scroll endlessly, comparing our reality to idealized versions presented online, feeling a constant pressure to keep up. This isn't curiosity, it is a frantic chase. The good habit here is the belief that to live a full and successful life, we must always keep all our options open, always be aware of what everyone else is doing, and always strive to make the optimal choice in a sea of infinite possibilities. But the paradox of choice, as psychologist Barry Schwartz famously articulated, is that while some choice is good, too much choice leads to analysis paralysis, decision fatigue, and ultimately, less satisfaction with our choices. When you have 10 different brands of jam, you are more likely to buy one. When you have 100, you are more likely to buy none, or to feel buyer's remorse even if you pick. The constant awareness of what you could be doing, rather than what you are doing, robs you of presence and joy. You are always looking over your shoulder, rather than fully immersing yourself in your chosen path. Truly successful and deeply contented individuals understand that true freedom doesn't come from having infinite options, but from the ability to make deliberate choices and then commit to them fully, finding depth and meaning in their chosen. They actively choose to disengage from the constant noise, to limit their exposure to endless options, and to focus on deep engagement with their immediate reality. How do they do this? Firstly, by practicing intentional choice. Instead of passively letting circumstances or external pressures dictate their decisions, they consciously decide what truly matters to them, aligning their choices with their core values. This doesn't mean never changing your mind or being rigid, but it means giving your chosen path a fair chance, immersing yourself in it, and finding its inherent value before allowing external comparisons to destabilize you. Secondly, they cultivate presence and gratitude. Instead of lamenting what they might be missing elsewhere, they find joy and appreciation in what is directly in front of them: a simple meal, a quiet conversation, a moment of solitude. These become sources of deep satisfaction when approached with a mindset of presence and gratitude, rather than constant comparison. They understand that true richness in life comes from deep engagement with a few things, rather than shallow engagement with many. Thirdly, they set boundaries with information overload. They're intentional about how much social media. They recognize that their attention is a precious resource, and they guard it fiercely, directing it towards what genuinely nourishes and empowers them. By quitting the deadly habit of FOMO and the burden of infinite choices, you liberate yourself from constant comparison and the anxiety of potential regret. You gain the power to live deliberately, to savor your experiences, and to find profound contentment in the path you've chosen. You move from a state of constant striving and superficial engagement to one of deep presence and authentic satisfaction. This, ultimately, is a cornerstone of true, sustainable success and inner peace. So what have we learned today about the truly successful people and the deadly, good habit they abandoned years ago? It's not about giving up ambition or becoming complacent. Far from it. It is about a profound recalibration of our energy, our focus, and our understanding of what truly constitutes a life well lived. It's about letting go of the relentless pursuit of absolute control over the uncontrollable, freeing ourselves from the tyranny of external validation, releasing the obsessive drive for constant optimization, breaking free from the paralysis of overthinking, and liberating ourselves from the pervasive fear of missing. These are not acts of apathy. They are acts of wisdom, courage, and self-liberation. When you quit these good habits, you don't lose anything of value. Instead, you shed the heavy burdens that have been weighing you down, stifling your potential, and stealing your joy. You reclaim your mental energy, your emotional resilience, and your precious time. You begin to channel your efforts towards what truly matters, cultivating your character, defining your own purpose, engaging deeply with your present moment, and building a life that is authentically yours, independent of societal pressures or external whims. The truly successful individuals aren't necessarily the ones with the most perfect lives, the most accolades, or the most control. They are the ones who have They understand that real power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering their internal world. They find their peace not in avoiding challenges, but in meeting them with a calm, resilient spirit. They cultivate a deep well of intrinsic worth, so they are not tossed about by the fickle winds of public opinion, and they embrace the beautiful, messy, unoptimized reality of life, finding joy in presence rather than Your journey towards a life of deeper peace, freedom, and profound success begins when you make the conscious choice to identify and let go of these insidious, good habits. It is a continuous practice, an ongoing process of self-awareness and gentle redirection. But with each step, with each act of letting go, you become lighter, clearer, and more aligned with your truest self. I hope today's sharing provides you with a new perspective. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. May your journey be filled with wisdom, liberation, and genuine fulfillment.